So we are recording now. Congratulations. Welcome to Art 116. I'm in the middle of a demonstration talking about going over the top of things with a second coat or a third coat of color and trying to do some things that give a little bit more sophistication to the color. I like that so much. I was thinking of maybe doing it over here, but maybe it's in a subjective color project. It might be fun to do slightly different things with subjective color. So maybe what I need to do is take a little bit of my black and green and make an even blacker green, and maybe do something like this over the top of this and just see what happens if I mop this in to a really dangerous corner of the composition over here, and maybe take a little bit of the white and just do a brush stroke or something just to break it up again. So I put the blacker green over the top of that green, and so it's very neutral. Then I took just a little bit of white within my dirty brush and just did a couple of zigzaggy kind of randomized brush strokes over the top of it. It blended wet in wet over the top of the original paint that I have on there. Now I've got 3 coats of paint on this section of the painting. I've got the original shade of green underneath there. I've got a much deeper shade of green on top of that. And I've got a little bit of this white dry brushed over the top of that and kind of blended in wet and wet. So that makes, these are 2 areas of the background that are both green, but they're doing completely different things. They're separated by the pointy top of the hat. And so I thought it might be fun to do something that was playing with the idea of where the light is coming from in the composition and how it works with what's happening on the face. So I've got more light over in this part of the composition as if the light is coming in from the left side of our composition. And I've got shading on the face over on the right side of features and forms. So I thought maybe it would be fun to mop a little bit of the blacker green over into this side to make it just a little bit more mysterious and scary. And maybe I'll even come up right up to edges of things, at least the edge of the hat. If I bring this black and green right up to the edge of the hat, you know, I can make it a little bit more scary. As it goes off towards the edge of the composition, it's okay if it modulates out a little bit and becomes a more of a medium tone green, but it's kind of fun to have the black shadow over on this side of the composition and a little bit higher key green over on that side of the composition. Let's see what happens if I just dry brush a little bit more blacky black stuff just over here and then let it dry brush out and kind of just fade into this cloud of white over here. Then I'm really modulating my tones across the top of this thing from deeper values over on this side where the shadows live into higher key values of tinting over here where the light lives. So I get the range of light happening in the composition in the background. When I was in college, and as we teach folks, you know, everybody likes to ignore the background because, you know, the subject is in the foreground. You want to paint the subject of the painting. Nobody ever wants to deal with the background. And yet the background, as we learn in photography, as well as lots of other areas, the background is very important to the structure of the composition. The background helps sell the foreground and holds the composition together. So paying some attention to the background is a good thing. Hey there, Christina, how you doing today? That's okay, you can run late. I'm going to throw a little bit more deeper value black and red into the back of the composition. I might follow the shape of the hat. I might pull a little bit more black and red away from the edges of the hair and the back of this ear and stuff, and just kind of deepen my shadow thing that's happening underneath the hat next to the hair. But, you know, even as I say that, what I really like to do is clean out my brush, and pull the pigment out of the brush. Now, in this other painting, I had more orange in the hair for the Wicked Witch. And in this one, I've got a little bit more neutralized orange in the hair. I got a lot more black mixed in with the orange, knocked it down to a brown. I might want to come in here now with a little bit of orange and get on the front side of curls and just see what happens if I, pick out a few highlights in the hair and see what happens here. So we're going to play that game just a little bit. It might not always work. It might not always be perfect, but you can play with these shapes until you can get something happening. I blooped a little bit of orange right onto her forehead. So because the paint is still wet, I can come in here with a piece of paper towel and just wipe it off. I can just lift it off. It is dry already. I can't move it. Okay. So I might have to come in there with a little bit of blue and blue-white and just kind of redo that spot on the forehead, which I can do. Here's some blue, here's some white. I'm going to pick a little bit of blue and white kind of together, mix a little bit of that in the edge of the blue puddle, and then maybe come up here and fix this just a little bit so that make that thing kind of go away there. All right. And since I've got a little white blue on my brush, I might hit the front edge of things that might want to be highlighted a little bit. The tip of the nose. Let's see, I need a little bit more white here for the tip of the nose or the whatever. And so trying to find my places where a highlight might help to sell some things and then try them out and see what might help there. Might put a highlight on the lips, for instance, someplace, on the lips, on the lower lip, something like that. Just these tiny little photographic highlights kind of help pick up a few details and energize what's happening in the middle of the composition. I'm going to go maybe a little bit smaller with some of these shapes that I painted in previously. And to do that, I might have to just come up against the side of this black with a little bit of blue, white, blue, and make this eyebrow just a little bit smaller so that it doesn't look like she's got a caterpillar sitting on her forehead. We want to maybe want it to look like it's an actual, nice feature there. So, trying to change the shape of some of these black or deep value details so that they don't get out of control is really important. If you have gone in here with a deep value, either color or black, and played with eyelashes, eyebrows, and the shape of the eyebrow or the contours of the eyelashes kind of got out of control a little bit, you can come back in and take a bite out of the edges of stuff and move that edge in just a little bit more and paint that eyebrow or that eye closed just a little bit more, or make it work for you just a little bit better. And we can always come back in later to change the shape of ear cartilage or any of these other details that either make or break the composition. So I just wanted to kind of consider this for a minute, because after painting this background with cloudy white in the left-hand side of the composition and cloudy black in the right-hand side of the composition, I do get this modulation of tonality in the background, and nobody notices it, except that for some reason it creates a whole lot more gravity for the composition. It looks like a much more finished painting, and it gives structure. It gives value structure to the composition so that, there's more consistency there. We've got our highlights on the left side of objects and lowlights or shadows on the right-hand side of objects, and the background is consistent with that. So it helps to sell the whole composition. Anyway, I wanted you guys to be able to see that, you can come in and try a second or third or fourth coat on some of this stuff, that you don't have to just be afraid that you're going to screw it up and so you don't want to do anything. you can actually come in and, you know, throw in another layer, another detail, something that might, you know, give us just a little bit more in terms of information for the viewer to be able to look at, and to kind of help fill in the gaps in the painting, even fill in the gaps so that you don't have any more of the white background showing through. It's kind of nice to work this enough so that you don't have any of the cardstock, bare cardstock actually showing through the background. So I'm going to mop a little bit of this in a little tighter, bring this in tighter. I'm going to choose just one of these edges to be my outside contour edge for this face, so that I don't have multiple lines out here that are doing multiple weird things. And maybe just mop a little bit around this to bring the shadow in a little bit tighter to the hair, and maybe to muddy up the edge and transition between the hair and the underside of the hat. And I'm just going to kind of play a little bit and just blend, 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 dry brush, dry brush, dry brush, get a couple more possible random brush strokes out there to get something happening out there. I even had a little bit of blue left in the back of my brush. And so as I was doing all that scumbling, I actually got a little bit of neutralized blue mixed in over the top of the red in the hair, in this shadow area around the hat. So a lot of this is about trying stuff, being bold. Don't be afraid to try weird stuff. If it doesn't work, let it dry for 20 minutes and come back and you can paint it right out again. And you can try something else. That's the whole beauty of painting. And if this color theory class, you know, doesn't do anything else, it will show you, it will introduce you to the joy of painting. And I'll be Bob Ross. I'll be Bob Ross, and this is the joy of painting. How about that? Does that work for you guys? But when color starts to work like this in a composition, and you guys can see this as interior designers, when you're putting colors together inside of a room, this makes a whole lot more sense when you are trying to decorate a room and pick paint colors and fabrics and stuff like that that can go in a room. When you are trying to dress yourself and pick different colors and textures for an outfit so that it all works together. You know, fashion designers, interior designers, people who work with design and color are always thinking about how color harmonizes. And so you can't just dress yourself in all bright colors because they just all fight. You really have to dress yourself mostly in neutralized versions of colors or neutrals. And you know, save your, you know, keep your powder dry, save your shot for when you want to accent something. And that's when you use a bright color to accent part of your wardrobe or to accent part of the interior of your house or room that you're trying to decorate. That's what we learn in color theory, is how colors work together and how we can control that so that it's not just an out of control mess of color, but you're actually being able to play with and blend and harmonize colors much better. That was 20 minutes. That was 20 minutes of drinking out of the garden hose, or you know, the fire hose or something like that. But I'm gonna rinse out this brush. I'm gonna put this aside and maybe look at one more thing. I was having trouble today getting PowerPoint to load to talk about 1 and 2 point linear perspective. And so I think I'd like to try a screen share instead today. Oh, all of my share things have gone away. Why did that happen? Gosh, I'm having a hard time today because I just wanted to bring up the, our final exam study guide just to review it with you, but it's not here, so I can't show it to you. So I'll just tell you once again that it lives in the assignment that says final exam study guide, and you can look that up, you know, in coursework. Open it up. It's a Word document that you can print out if you want to, or just look at the Word document in coursework to just go over and familiarize yourself with the terms that are on it, because that's still stuff that's going to be in the 20-question multiple choice final quiz that we're going to take. I'll probably be opening the quiz around Wednesday so that people who want to take it and get out of here early can take it Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, but it'll be open through next week, through finals week, for those who want to just put it off and wait until finals week to get it done. So I think on Wednesday, we will be reviewing, or we will be viewing a little dog and pony show that talks about linear perspective. We didn't get to do a project dealing with linear perspective, but that kind of ties the idea of plastic colors and creating plastic shapes. It ties it up with a nice little bow, because when you have linear perspective and atmospheric perspective put together with color, then you can really control the illusion of space in a two-dimensional space. You get the illusion of three-dimensional space on a two-dimensional surface. And that's what artists have been playing with forever. So I think I'm gonna change video cameras so that we can say goodbye to each other. And for now, where am I? I'm way over here in the corner. I'm gonna slide over here and say, there's my bald head. There's my masked face. One more week of masking, and then we'll be out of masking, even in the state of Oregon, which I think is going to be great. So I'm going to say goodbye to Jovan and Dylan for now, and hopefully you guys can join us again on Wednesday. Please get this painting finished up, photograph it, and upload it for this assignment in coursework for subjective color. And email me if you've got any questions. But until Wednesday, have a good first part of your week, and I'll say goodbye.